Many predicted that he would follow in Marlon Brando's footsteps. Rather, Tony Franciosa passed away destitute and forgotten. Tell me what happened. The bad news is now known to us. People who worked with him in Hollywood and at NBC both claimed he was dangerous and difficult to control. It all came crashing down when his scandalous affair with Lauren Bacall was revealed by his ex-wife Shelley Winters. Everything about it, from his brief stint in prison to the movie mogul who ruined his career over his daughter's marriage, is worse than what's being said. At long last, the most contentious issue in Hollywood has surfaced. Tony Franciosa, better known as Anthony George Papaleo, came into this world in Little Italy, New York City, on October 25, 1928. His grandparents emigrated to the United States from Melli, a little town in southern Italy, in search of a more prosperous future. He came from a family of builders. His mum was a seamstress. Even though it was full of Italian traditions, that neighborhood was tough to grow up in. Money was always tight, and getting by was hard. Tony's parents divorced when he was a baby. The responsibility of raising him was carried out by his aunt and mother. His father and he were never close. He realized after some thought, despite the weekly visit to collect his $8 child support payment, he and his dad remained distant. The separation altered his personality. You had to face challenges on a daily basis as a child living through the Great Depression. His mother took excellent care of him, working hard to provide for him. Given their cramped living quarters, they had to stretch each dollar as far as it would go. Getting around in Manhattan was also a challenge. Knowing when to fight was a lifelong skill that came in handy during the many conflicts that occurred. Tony caught on fast. "I learned how to get in the first punch as a child," he finally stated. His whole life he maintained that resolute, street-savvy demeanor. Despite the challenges, he remained firmly grounded in his identity thanks to his Italian heritage. Little Italy was a different place. Even when times were tough, people never let their guard down, cherished traditions endured, and took great pride in their heritage. At the time, he couldn't fathom how his past had altered him. It gave his performance more authenticity by allowing him to empathize with the audience. After finishing high school, Tony took any job that would pay the bills. His previous experience included welding, day labor, cooking, and serving as a ship's waiter. Through his many jobs, he mastered the art of working hard and surviving. He witnessed firsthand the struggles of people from various walks of life as he helped them earn a living. The working-class characters he portrayed would later seem more authentic thanks to that experience. "Some strange thing occurred when I was 18 years old. A friend had suggested that he check out the YMCA's free dance classes. There he stumbled upon a casting call for The Seagull by Anton Chekhov. He had never considered acting as a career option. His curiosity led him to decide to give it a shot. Receiving a small part caught him off guard. That was the turning point. His interest in acting blossomed. He attended the New York City Drama Workshop, after receiving a scholarship to study under Joseph Gigler. During his time at the illustrious school, he studied acting under Lee Strasberg, and collaborated with organizations such as the Cherry Lane Theater. He worked with future stars like B. Arthur, and learned from some of the game's best. He possessed an intensity that captivated audiences. He was more than just another ambitious actor. Among his most significant actions was changing his name. Anthony Papaleo was his given name, but he preferred to be known as Franciosa, after his mother. It was a method of acknowledging her actions. She raised him single-handedly, and he wanted to repay her for all she had done. In Hollywood, he also got a fresh start. When a person's name sounds too much like a racial group, it can lead to typecasting. In addition to preserving his heritage, Franciosa paved the way for new possibilities. His acting career began in 1948, when he became a member of Greenwich Village's Cherry Lane Theater Group. The off-Broadway theater was notorious for experimenting with non-traditional plots in their productions. Kim Stanley, Michael Gazzo, B. Arthur and others on the rise all improved there. Because of his job at this arts center, Franciosa was able to witness performances that challenged his behavior in profound ways. After years of dedicated practice, he was accepted into the prestigious Actors' School in 1950. Former student and school director Lee Strasberg taught method acting to some A-listers. James Dean, Marlon Brando, and Ben Gazzara were among Franciosa's teachers. One of his distinguishing characteristics was the ability to delve deeply into his emotions in the face of extreme stress. He figured out how to give each component a genuine personality by charging them with energy. In 1953, he made his Broadway debut with the show End as a Man, which dealt with the topic of infidelity at a Southern military academy. The production premiered at Theater Dies Off Broadway on September 15 and transferred to Broadway on October 14. The role of the weak and obstinate Private George Pendleton was portrayed by Franciosa. His performance was praised by critics, who predicted his star power. They added a whole new level of excitement to the stage as the play's protagonist, Ben Gazzara. It was in this role that Franciosa proved his mettle as a multifaceted actor. His most successful album was 1955's A Hatful of Rain. The play tackled a taboo subject at the time, drug abuse in theater. Franciosa portrayed Polo Pope, a man struggling to support his war hero brother Johnny, who was also addicted. Ben Gazzara played Johnny, and Shelley Winters played Johnny's wife Celia. Michael Gazzo's play had 398 performances at the Lyceum Theater beginning on November 9. Franciosa delivered a powerful performance that conveyed the conflicting emotions of a brother fighting for familial unity. He was one of the most intense performers of his time, and his Tony Award nomination confirmed it. It made its way to Hollywood. In Fred Zinnemann's 1957 film adaptation of A Hatful of Rain, he reprised his role as Polo Pope. The group underwent some modifications. After Ben Gazzara stepped down as Johnny, Eva Marie Saint stepped in as Shelley Winters. The film faithfully recreated the authentic atmosphere that made the Broadway smash a smashing success. The Volpe Cup for Best Actor went to Franciosa at the Venice Film Festival because of his intense performance. He received a Best Actor Oscar nomination in the same year. He would never again be mentioned in reference to his work. The film was notable because, unlike many Hollywood productions, it dealt head-on with the effects of addiction on families. A Hatful of Rain revolutionized the way movies are perceived as realistic. Some reviewers praised Franciosa for effectively conveying Polo's inner turmoil without over-dramatizing the character. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times characterized the film as a disturbing and striking piece of work, while the Los Angeles Times described it as a hybrid of the real world and a nightmare. In 1957, under Robert Wise's direction, Tony Franciosa made his Hollywood debut in the comedy drama This Could Be the Night. The charismatic yet evasive nightclub owner was Tony Armati. Gene Simmons and Paul Douglas star in the film adaptation of Cornelia Baird Gross's short stories. It was a fantastic performance by Franciosa. He stood out from other rising stars with his charisma and street smarts. His ability to strike a balance between humor and gravity fascinated some. The same year, he had a substantially larger role in A Face in the Crowd, directed by Elia Kazan. The film explored the potentially harmful and influential nature of the media. Andy Griffith played the lead role of Lonesome Rhodes, a nomad who rose to fame on television. Nevertheless, Franciosa portrayed Mel Miller, a writer privy to the truth. The truth about Rhodes, which Miller finally revealed, ultimately brought him down. Although Griffith is well known for his acting, Franciosa proved he could hold his own against Hollywood's elite. He demonstrated his versatility in these two films that were released in the same year. He was a member of the Actors Studio's new wave of stars, which also included James Dean and Marlon Brando. Franciosa continued to demonstrate his abilities after a promising beginning. He starred as the title character in Wild as the Wind, directed by George Cukor, in 1957. Though she was married to Gino Anthony Quinn, he played the role of Ben, a young ranch hand who fell for Anna Magnani's character. The film depicted a passionate love story characterized by resentment and betrayal, taking place in the harsh landscape of Nevada. He proved he could compete with more seasoned opponents, and he and Magnani got along famously. He contributed to The Long Hot Summer, directed by Martin Ritt, in 1958. The screenplay was written by William Faulkner and features Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward, and Orson Welles. Jody Varner, played by Franciosa, was the anxious son of Will Varner, played by Welles. Entrepreneur Will Varner is very influential. Even though Jody struggled to win over his father, he found Paul Newman's self-assured drifter, Ben Quick, more intriguing than Jody. Franciosa gave Jod a reason to feel like giving up. After being banned by Hollywood, Ritt's career got back on track with the release of this smash hit film. Not long after that, Franciosa portrayed the iconic Spanish artist Francisco Goya in the period piece, The Naked Maja, which centered on Goya's intense love affair. As they waited, Franciosa received $250,000, a substantial amount for that era, for her work on the Duchess of Alba, played by Ava Gardner. Even though the film bombed at the box office upon its release, his portrayal of Goya proved he could handle nuanced roles. Directed by Joseph Anthony, Franciosa delivered a performance that ranks among his most powerful to date. In 1959, Sam Lawson, an actor attempting to break into Hollywood during the McCarthy era, was the protagonist of the film. The emotionally taxing role depicted the trials and tribulations of a person battling for success in a cutthroat industry. Franciosa was the standout in the film, even though he co-starred with Shirley MacLaine and Dean Martin. For his performance, he was named the Golden Globe winner for Best Actor in a Dramatic Motion Picture. He was already a top leading man in Hollywood at the tender age of 31. Along with Best Art Direction and Best Cinematography, he was also up for Best Costume Design at the Oscars. What audiences will remember Franciosa for, though, is her heartfelt and sincere performance. Franciosa was famous for bringing the audience into the world of sad and depressed characters. His 1957 film role in A Hatful of Rain is a prime example. He was playing Polo Pope, attempting to assist his heroin-dependent sister in beating her addiction. Polo Pope was a caring but enraged brother. His performance was so powerful that he was nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. Though his temper got in the way on many occasions, Tony Franciosa possessed the talents that would have catapulted him to Hollywood hero status. He frequently clashed with his co-stars, producers and directors. He frequently retreated to his dressing room when he was upset. If he disagreed with the director, he wouldn't merely pick a fight, he would flat out refuse to comply. It was more than a passing issue, it became associated with his public persona. Franciosa co-starred with Gene Barry and Robert Stack on the 1968, 1971 NBC series, The Name of the Game. Despite the successful show, collaborating with him was a challenge. After the second season, Universal Pictures decided to cancel the show due to his frequent outbursts of anger. He was fired. The harm had already been done when Franciosa eventually admitted that he had been mistreated. Hollywood characterized him as gruff. Disagreements weren't the only thing that made him lose his temper. As he worked on A Man Could Get Killed 1966, he discovered a new side to himself. The stunt crew was put in harm's way, because Franciosa spared no expense during battle scenes. Things were getting out of hand, so Garner stepped in. They became physically aggressive towards one another. Things like this made it more challenging for Franciosa to secure consistent employment. It was the late 1960s, and he still hadn't landed any major roles. He had to do European films to keep up with the times since he was finding it harder to get jobs in Hollywood. Franciosa stated in a 1996 interview that he wasn't prepared for fame when it came to him. It was too late, he claimed. He hadn't matured enough to deal with the pressure. We lost our best chance at success. Even away from the set, he had problems. Because of his explosive temper, Franciosa ran afoul of the law in April 1957. He had just received an Academy Award nomination for his performance in A Hatful of Rain, and his star was on the rise. The month before, he got into an altercation with a cameraman outside of a show in Hollywood.